Hello, welcome everyone. This is our final video in our series of video about cashew processing in Africa. What are the challenges of cashew processing on the African continent? We had a series of videos in which we dealt with different parts of the problem, and we've looked at different aspects of cashew processing on the African continent. So we're going to wrap up um, our series of videos in this final video, in which we're going to um, come back on the key issues that we dealt with over the past few weeks. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at the current state of cashew processing in Africa. As you can see on the map here, and this data is quite, it's not recent. Kenya processed about 10%, Tanzania 27%, Mozambique 28%. But if you look at West African countries, about 98% are exported raw, and that need to be addressed. But as I said, these are quite old data. I'm sure today it looks different. There is an improvement, even though there's still a lot to be done. Okay. Now, moving on, what we're going to do today, I'm going to touch on those three areas: production, challenges, and potential solutions. Okay, we already dealt with all those in detail. If you want to have more information, you can refer to our previous videos. Today, what I'm going to do is just to sum up what we've already discussed, starting with the production. We mentioned before that Africa produces more than 56% of the world production, and these data relate to 2018. We in 2021, 3 years on. I'm sure that that figure is higher than what it used to be 3 years ago. Having that kind of production, Africa should be able to benefit more in this cashew production. And the way forward is processing. You know, the cashew has to be processed. That's the added value, and the added value will bring back more benefit to the continent. The next thing we're going to look at are the challenges. What are the challenges with cashew processing? As we already discussed, there are five main areas that we've identified being the key issues with cashew processing. The first is the vision and policy. Okay, for anything to happen, there have to be a clear vision, clear policy by the policymakers, and that's starting to be addressed. The next thing that we discussed was infrastructure. There were lack of certain basic infrastructure to facilitate and make processing a reality. Things like power, roads were lacking before, and a lot are being done by the various government in Africa to address it. The other challenge is technology. Africa didn't have the right level of technology locally to make processing a reality. Again, that's something also that are being addressed. The other thing we've looked at, issue that we've looked at, is finance. In order to process, there need to be the right level of finance to support local processing, and that was a problem. And luckily, a lot are being done to address the issue of finance by attracting new invested in. Government are providing incentive to local processors, to new actors coming in, which is to be encouraged. And lastly, what we've looked at and find as an issue, it was manpower. There needed to be the right level of trained manpower locally. So far, the African processor had to rely on expertise coming from India, from Vietnam, so that was good for a start. Going forward, the continent need to train African locally by setting up colleges, schools to train. And many countries are really taking the lead in doing so. In countries like Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire in West Africa, um, They've set up academies in schools, colleges recently, train local workers so they can have the right level of manpower to support cashew processing on the continent. The other thing we're going to look at are the solutions. What are the solutions to address the issue of cashew processing? I think it's quite logical to say that if we address the five key issues that we've just talked about, it could be the beginning of a solution, you know. And so it's not rocket science, really. We know what the key issues are. If we address those key issues, I think that will be the start of a solution. All right. As I said earlier on, if we look at issues like uh, having the right policies, I think that will definitely help. Infrastructure, there needs to be more investment by African government into having infrastructure in place. Again, technology also has to be addressed. Finance, as we already said, the government should support more processes locally, and then investment in training and having the academies set up can also help. So basically, these are the what we can propose as solution, even though there may be others. But by starting with these five key issues, if they can be addressed, we believe that we can go a long way in fixing this problem. But there are also encouraging signs. We've looked at recently a country like Ivory Coast. On the 12th of Feb, in the Incalo Bulletin, we've seen these figures, quite encouraging figures, in terms of cashew processing factories in the Ivory Coast. 5 years ago, in 2016, there were about nine of them. And in 2020, they are recording 18. So twice as many factories over the past 5 years. Volume exported, there were about 8,000 ton exported in 2016. But last year in 2020, there were over 13,000 ton exported. Relatively, for a country like Ivory Coast, these are encouraging sign, encouraging figure. Okay. Obviously, we're not going to compare it to India or Vietnam, but for those countries, it's a big jump that need to be encouraged. So these are what we could say about cashew processing in Africa. We're going to move on to another topic in our next series of videos. Thank you to all those who watch our videos and commented and told us about their views, who like the videos. Thank you so much for your support. We encourage all new viewers to subscribe to the channel, keep supporting us, share your views, your comments, and this is how we can help improve the situation. Thank you again, and we shall speak to you in our next video.